Today we're going to learn how to properly set up Postgres databases on Google Cloud SQL and also how to use them in Python. If you like this video, let me know by hitting a like button and subscribing, but now let us get right into it. Alright, so I want to get right into it and not waste your time. What we're going to learn today is how to use the service called Cloud SQL. So Google Cloud SQL, which is basically the service that Google offers for you to host your database on the Google Cloud. You can use MySQL or Postgres, and we're going to start by creating a new project in the Google console. So make sure you have an account, log in, create a new project by clicking on New Project, call it whatever you want. I'm going to call this now Cloud SQL Tutorial. I'm going to attach my billing account. I'm going to create this project. Then I'm going to select the project. And the only thing that we need to do here is we need to go to Cloud SQL like this. So Cloud SQL is the service. And we now can create here a free instance. This is because we get 30 days of trial without having to pay anything. What I want to do here now in my particular case, you can also go with MySQL if you want to, but this tutorial is going to focus on Postgres. You can just choose Postgres as the database engine. You can give it some name. I'm going to leave the default. You can give it a password. This is going to be the password for the user Postgres. So in my case, I'm just going to say the password is Cloud SQL Tutorial. So the same as the project name, like this. And I'm going to choose a region. In my case here, since I'm based in Europe, I'm going to go with Europe West 4. And I'm going to create the free instance. Okay, so as you can see, the instance is being created and this will take some time. Meanwhile, what we can do is we can think about transitioning from a database that we already have to this setup. Now, if you don't want to do that, it's even simpler. You just have to do nothing. But if you want to import data, what you need to do is you need to first export it from your original database. So in my case here, I already have a setup in my tutorial directory. I'm going to make this full screen. What I have here is a Docker Compose file. Very, very simple. It's just a basic Postgres database. User is Postgres, password is secret pass, database is SumDB, and I already put in some data by using this SQL script here. So just some people owning items, and that's basically it. And now what I want to do is I want to take this database, export it using pgdump, and then take this data, this SQL file, and upload it to Google. So what I'm going to say here, Docker Compose exec db, and I'm going to execute pgdump using the Postgres user, using a plain format. Then I'm going to provide no owner as a flag and also no ACL. So nothing related to ownership or access rights is going to be part of this dump. Then I'm going to also specify the database, SumDB. And finally, I'm going to take all of this and dump it into some dump.sql. So now if I look at this file, we will see that it contains a bunch of instructions that we can use to just upload them to Google and replicate this database. So once this database is set up, what we can do is we can go to import data. We can choose SQL as the file format. And now what we need to do is we need to say that we want to upload the file from our computer, but we still need to upload it to a bucket in Google Storage. So what we do is we select the file here locally. This opens up here the file browser. In my case here, I'm going to go with dump.sql. And now we need to provide a storage location. So we can just click on browse. No buckets found in this project. So I'm going to create a new bucket. Let's call this one, I don't know, let's call it Cloud SQL Bucket Test. Hopefully this is globally unique. There you go. So continue. Let's go with EU multi-region. Let's go with continue, 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 and create. Then we're also just going to confirm here. We're going to leave everything at the default settings. And once this bucket is created, we just select it and that's essentially it. Then we click on upload to actually upload the file. And we also need to choose a target database for the import. In my case now, I'm going to go with the only one I have, which is Postgres. So just Postgres, import. So this was successful. What this means is I can mark this as complete. And now we can explore the Cloud SQL Studio. So it depends on what you want to do exactly here. You can connect this with other Google services as well. You can connect this, I think, with, not entirely sure, but I think with BigQuery and some other services. But you can also just use it as a database online. So you can just host your database here and use it in your Python application if you want to. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. But you can also use here the Cloud SQL Studio in the browser to do some querying. So I just have to select a database. I can just use the default authentication. What was my password? It was the project name. So Cloud SQL Tutorial, authenticate. There you go. And now I have my tables here with people, items, And then I can also go ahead and play around with some queries. So I can say, for example, select everything from, or actually not everything, let's go with select people.name, because for those of you who didn't catch this when I briefly showed the file, we have name for a person, but we also have, we're actually down here, name for a person, but we also have name for an item. So I'm going to say here people name and items name from people items, and then where the items dot owner ID, I think it's called owner ID, there you go, is equal to that of the person ID. So if I run this, there you go, we see every person and what they own. That's basically a simple query. You can also use your AI assistants with Gemini Code Assistant. If you want to use that, you need to enable the respective API. I'm not going to do that here. But I personally think the much more interesting use case is to actually target this database in Python. So I'm going to mark this as complete. I explored the data. What I want to do now is I want to connect. We're not going to use this point here. The only thing that we need to do for this connection is we need to go to the overview page. So we are already at the overview page, but I can scroll down here and you can see there is a public IP address. So I want to connect to the database on this public IP address on port 5432, which is the default Postgres port. And I want to do that with Python. So how do we do all this in Python? Quite simple. We just use the Python package scopg2, which is the Postgres database package. I personally am going to set this up using UV. You can just use pip install if you want to, pip or pip3 install. So if you just have a basic Python setup, you basically say pip or pip3 install and then scopg2 and then dash binary if you have some problems with the other version. And in my case, since I'm using UV, I'm going to say UV init, UV at, and the same package, scopg2, or actually it's probably scopg2 binary. I'm going to add this, then I'm going to go into the main py file. And here now we just want to establish a connection with the database and do a simple query. So we don't have to interact with it in a special way just because it's Google Cloud SQL. We can just connect to it like to any other Postgres database. So I'm going to say here import scopg2, and then I'm going to say the connection is going to be equal to scopg.connect. And here now I'm going to provide the typical keyword arguments: host, username, password, DB name, port, which is the default 5432, and SSL mode. I'm just going to set this one to prefer. So what is the host? The host is the IP address from the overview panel. So this is the public IP address here. I can just copy it. I can paste it here in the code. That is my IP address. And the username is Postgres, as we had before. The password is Cloud SQL tutorial. And the DB name is Postgres because we call it that. All right, and now I can just do something very basic. The cursor is going to be the connection.cursor. Then I'm just going to say cursor execute a certain simple statement. I'm going to say select everything from people. Very simple. And then I can just say print cursor fetch all to get all the entries. And then I can say cursor close and I can say connection close. That's basically it. Now, one problem that we have is that if I send this request now, it's not going to succeed. It's going to go into not even timeout. It's just going to keep trying and nothing's going to happen. And this is because my network is not authorized. My IP address is not authorized in this particular database instance, or for this particular database instance. So what I need to do is I need to go to the sidebar here. I need to go to connections and I need to authorize my network. How do I do that? I do that by clicking on networking and going down here to authorized networks. And then I can click on add a network and I have to provide an IP range. Now, which one do I provide here? Very simple too. You just go to some website that tells you your IP address. In this case here, myip.is. I will use my IPv4 address. Whatever you have at this point here, whatever your IP address is, you want to copy it. You want to paste it in this network text box here. So in the IP range text box, you want to paste it and then say /32. This is going to basically accept this range. And then we can also give this a name. So let's call this now test network or whatever, home network. Call this whatever you want. I'm just going to say done. And now I'm going to save. So by doing that, of course, I'm going to have to censor all of this here. So let me just go here. I don't have to show that all the time. Now what I can do is I can just run the script and it is going to perform the query. So UV run main py, and of course I have a problem because I provided the username, even though it should be just user But besides that, there you go. I can access the data in the database through Python. Now, finally, there's also other stuff that you can do here, which I'm not going to show in this video today, but we have stuff like replicas, stuff like backups, so professional backups and professional replicas that are for, catastrophe mitigation, if you want to put it that way. But basically, if you have compliance stuff, if you have to take care of certain things like service level agreements, you need to make sure you don't lose data, you need to have backups and replicas and everything, you can do it here as well. Just take a look at these, but these are only supported in the actual paid tier, not if you're using the free trial. So that's it for this video today. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. If so, let me know by hitting a like button and leaving a comment in the comment section down below. Also, if you're interested in one-on-one tutoring or services, you can go to my website. There I have a tab called tutoring, a tab called services. You can see what I have to offer, and at the very bottom, you can contact me via email or LinkedIn if you're interested in that. And besides that, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell to not miss a single future video for free. Other than that, thank you much for watching. See you in the next video, and bye.